Hello and welcome to another edition of BuzzFeed Unsolved Postmortem, a show where we answer your most pressing questions about the most recent episode of BuzzFeed Unsolved, which was George Reeves. All the questions we're answering today came from you guys via our BuzzFeed Unsolved Facebook page, our BuzzFeed Unsolved Instagram page, and as well as directly on the video on Bun. Before we get into the show today, a very pressing and important announcement. It's already been announced, but we saw a lot of questions. I saw a lot of action in the Twitterverse over the weekend.
Did you see some stuff getting some heat, picking up some heat signatures?
Oh, I think we have something that is quite hot.
Okay, some hot stuff out there. Okay, what do we got?
And for other people, this might be the coldest news ever. But the news is that we are doing another season of BuzzFeed Unsolved Supernatural. This is the last season of True Crime. We're still doing one more season of Supernatural where we go and hunt ghosts. If you don't know, there's two versions of this show. There's the True Crime version, which you just saw. That's where we cover cases. And there's the other version called Supernatural, where we go and hunt ghosts and kill them.
Yeah, we do. I think we do.
Oh, also one more thing, another announcement up top. Let's just get it out of the way here. Obviously, you can see I'm wearing some merch right here. You can get that at shop.buzzfeedunsolved.com.
That's
right.
Get
this hat, the new dad hat, or a good old rockin' buckaroo, rockin'
roo buckaroo,
or a good old rock and roll buckaroo shirt. You kind of look like if they did make a scripted version of Tiger King, and you're like him when he's young. That's the getup.
Oh, I don't mind that, honestly. I don't hate it.
It's very Joe Dirt.
Well, let's get into some questions, huh? What a fun app. Pretty funny to read in the comments, it's a season premiere, people very happy, but then they're also, ooh, it's gonna be over,
I suppose you could mock the fans of
I'm
the
not
show
mocking
for being
them,
sad
it's
as
it's a funny duality of emotions.
It seemed like a mock to me.
No, it wasn't a mock.
You did a kind of a face.
No, come on now.
I just like to let you all know that I appreciate every one of you for
Me
watching
too.
the show. And I'm sad as well.
Me too.
This comes from K. Arnold for Postmortem. Is it a possibility that George Reeves was murdered by Eddie Mannix on behalf of someone who wanted a new Superman? You said George struggled with alcohol. The studio might have wanted someone that has a more child-friendly appearance to boost ratings. It's a solid theory. And when you look back at the literature regarding the studio system and studio fixers back in the day, it wouldn't be above them to perhaps throw a Hail Mary like this where they might, fire somebody and then really fire them after.
My only issue with that is, couldn't they just fire him?
Yeah, but then he'd be like complaining to the press and stuff, and yakking and to the town, and then it'd be like,
would really care.
Yeah, but if he's like walking into like every ice cream store in town and being like, I'm still the real Superman. Look at me, I'm still got the outfit. They couldn't take it from me because I'm Superman.
I got one from Facebook for you, Ryan. Let's take it over to our boomers over there. This is from Gabe Bauer. For the hashtag postmortem, do you guys think that both George's ex and fiance worked together to kill George? I know it sounds crazy, but they both seemed pretty sus to me. Please shout out my mom. She is a fan of yours.
Shout out to your mom.
Shout out to Gabe's mother.
You've been shouted out.
We done shouted yet. Now, Ryan, as for that question, do you think they worked together to kill George?
Why would they work together, though? I mean, I could see that they both would have some sort of motive, I guess. Marriage isn't going that well, or engagement's not going that well. She's upset at his lack of commitment. I guess let's murder him.
It seems like such a big commitment to murder someone.
Yeah, I agree, Shane. It does seem like a lot of commitment.
You really gotta buy into that. And it seems even rarer, and I think we've discussed this before, to get somebody else on board with it. To find another sicko who's like, yeah, sounds like a good idea, let's do that.
Really gotta be all in. To use a metaphor here, when you go to the store and you're trying to decide whether or not you want to buy it, and you're like, do I want to buy this shirt or let me take it to the dressing room. Oh, you know what? I like this shirt so much, I'm actually gonna wear it out of the store. That's how much I like this shirt. That's the level of commitment you need to have
to murder?
when you want to murder somebody. You need to be all in. It needs to be, I'm gonna wear it out of the store level of commitment. But what would they gain out of it for each other? Tony Mannix was already the person who was giving him a bunch of things, most of his possessions. The fiance, I don't believe she would be next in the will, other than it just being kind of vengeful, like they both feel scorned by this man.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe they're sickos, you know?
I guess people do kill for passion sometimes. But for me, personally, I need to be getting something out of it. Not that I have
need a
killed anybody,
monetary
but
reward.
if I was going to, I would need some moolah. Let's go back to YouTube. This is Team McBox. Congrats on the team.
Hey.
I think Lemon turning the lights on might have been a signal for the murder plan to commence.
That's pretty funny. Yeah.
The murder plan. It's funny because you could still say murder and it would make sense. But murder, adding the plan
true.
after it does make me, does tickle me, clearly. I mean, who the hell invites people over at 1 a.m. after a long day? Reeves was tired already. It seems strange Lemon would bring more people at such a late hour. I have to agree with you. It does seem strange that she would invite people over when he was already tired. Granted, it doesn't seem like they were the best at communication.
A counterpoint to that is that these are Hollywood sickos. You know, these are Hollywood sickos. They're, they're going off and shooting, I don't know what, like two days a week, or they're going and shooting a movie and then they're not working for 3 months or something. A Tuesday night to them is a Friday night in any other city in America, you know?
Hey Earl, do you mind not picking your hair off your head
and
examining it while you're talking?
I had a big stringy piece of hair there. Look, things are different out here in the Midwest.
What do you think about the light turning on to signal something? That actually is something that's good.
People did that back then, though. I mean, it was like a party light. You leave the porch light on. There's like a song about that, right? Like an old, I don't know, some old Cole Porter bullshit where he's like, leave the light on, baby. I'll come over and smooch ya. Right?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who Cole Porter is, so.
You know who Cole Porter is?
Do you know who Cole Porter is? Yeah, he doesn't. No one knows who Cole Porter is.
Okay, I got it. The next one.
Question.
This is a good one. Yeah, this is from Molly on YouTube. I picked this one for postmortem. Is Ryan actually professionally trained to wield a katana? And before you even get into it, I'll say you don't even need to be professionally trained because you were touched by God.
That's true. First off, yeah, I am. You could ask that to the many people who have encountered it, but
Ryan has
it's
killed
going to be hard to,
many people.
It's going to be hard to reach them.
Yeah, you're gonna have to. If you want an answer from them, you'll have to grab their head and go, because guess what? They're dead.
Or you're gonna have to hop on the heaven horn and talk to them above, depending on whether or not they were a good person. But the fact that they were sent to the afterlife by the katana means they weren't a good person, because that's what the katana does. It speaks to me and it tells me people who need to be sent to hell.
Yeah.
And
yes, very, very professionally done.
Yeah,
professionally wielded, I'd say.
Pink Panther says, postmortem, what if it's the little boy with the gun that did it? He could have followed him home, snuck in, hid in the closet, and decided to shoot him to see if he was bulletproof. And maybe, just maybe, they're hiding the truth because he was a little boy. IDK, shrug emoji. You know, you're right. I guess he could have found his address. Then again, I'm not gonna doubt the moxie of this young man because he had enough.
He's a real go-getter.
To track this guy down at a public event and bring a gat with him. So maybe he did follow him home and was like, still don't buy it, you fucking phony. George Reeves comes back home, he's still there in that closet in that dark corner, just the... You thought you could outsmart me, huh, funny man? And then you hear the little click of the pistol, any last words? And that's that.
This little boy is, I think, my favorite character from the story. I really admire him.
Real person, but yeah, he's probably still alive, actually.
You think so?
I wonder if he watched the ep.
If you're the little boy who murdered George, chime off in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. This is from Belle Pearson on Facebook. For the postmortem, if the 4 witnesses did agree to make up a cover story, why would they include the part about Lemon narrating the suicide? It would place unnecessary suspicion on Lemon, especially with the 2 unexplained bullet holes in the floor. This leads me to think it was a suicide, especially because there was 4 witnesses and no window. But the bullet holes in the floor are confusing, so IDK lol shrug. I'm loving the IDK shrug theme among all these. Yeah, it seems like it would be sort of a zany cover story to be like, hey, let's work into our cover story that you predicted he would do this.
While it does seem counterintuitive to include that in the story, this doesn't seem like the brightest group of people, especially in particular the fiance, because when she was asked about the 2 bullet holes in the house, she also could have just said, I think George sometimes gets upset and he might have just shot the floor, I don't know.
Yeah.
But she said,
we like to shoot guns at each other.
No, she said, oh yeah, those are both from me. I can't remember why though.
Yeah.
IDK shrug. And then the
like
police were like, IDK shrug. All right,
you'd really remember firing a gun off in your bedroom, I think.
I also think people underestimate how stressful it probably is when you're getting interrogated for the murder of I guess in this case, your husband. You're probably not gonna be thinking that straight. And you might be brutally honest about both things. The fact that you said that stuff and the fact that you for sure shot the bullets into the floor in the wall. All right, last question here. This comes from Jonah Rollman on Facebook. What if the mystery man who shot George went through another window upstairs and then found his way to George's room? This makes more sense to me than him sneaking past 4 people downstairs and then after he shot George, I'm gonna assume he waited until it was safe to leave through the same window. This also explains no fingerprints on the gun and why the body positioning was odd. Hashtag postmortem. By the way, Shane, I love the new hair color. There you go. Someone's a fan of Blaine out there, which as we all know, blonde Shane. I'm a little confused at why there would be a lack of fingerprints on the gun still. I don't know how that changes that. He would be wearing gloves, the assassin would be wearing gloves. That's what they're positing here. I suppose they could have gone through a window upstairs. Also, the people downstairs were drunk, AF. So it's possible they wouldn't hear a little window opening.
Yeah.
Then again, they sure heard the hell out of that drawer opening because she said, he's opening the drawer now.
That's true. Though, maybe when he could have snuck in when they were all downstairs. More commotion going on, everyone's having a good time. Then he comes down, so he goes up, sort of an awkward silence, because he yelled at them, right? He was like, so they're probably kind of awkward silence. He goes upstairs, they're like, oh, that was awkward. Then it's quieter, they can hear more.
The killer waited for George to open the drawer, pull out the gun, and then he took the gun from George then? Because that would still mean that their story would have to hold up. They would still have to have heard a drawer open and it was the gun and that was in fact his. So.
Right. Yeah. So I guess this is a pretty open and shut case, is what we're arriving at here.
No, I don't think that's what it is. I think there's just more questions, which is what the show always does.
There was a comment on YouTube, someone was like, well, this one seems pretty solved. And I was like, yeah.
Yeah, dude. It's solved, baby. It's been commented, therefore it is true.
You know what? It's our last season. Let's say we solved this one, huh?
I don't know if we should use that card on this one. Let's hold. Okay. Let's hold that for another one, maybe.
Hey, Ryan. Hey, what's coming up next week on BuzzFeed Unsolved True Crime, the final season?
It's a disappearance, so a missing persons case.
Love it.
And the person is quite famous. And
yes, I remember which one it is. This one's really good.
Oh man, how else do I? You know what? I'm just gonna leave you with that because if I say any more, I think you'll figure it out.
This one's a freaky story.
It's a crazy one. It's a zany one of my favorites of the season and frankly the series. So I hope you guys enjoy the next episode of BuzzFeed Unsolved. True crime. That does it for this episode of BuzzFeed Unsolved Postmortem. Make sure you watch the episode this Friday, and then send in your questions to the BuzzFeed Unsolved Instagram page, the BuzzFeed Unsolved Facebook page, or comment directly on the video on Bun, and maybe you'll be in the next episode
at the movies.
of BuzzFeed Unsolved Postmortem. Shane.
Look at, oh, did you see the little bird?
We'll see you guys next week.